All right, what's up, guys? Gonna do a quick video on Devon Alexander and Victor Ortiz. Okay, when I found out that they were fighting, I thought it was pretty cool because these are two guys that always were considered to be top fighters at 140 and 147. That they were champions at one point. They did win fights, big fights. But for the most part, they lost most of their big fights. They lost a lot more than they won. I think a lot of their biggest wins were against C-level fighters or fighters that were on their way out or way past their prime. I if I overall, I kind of look at both to be at the same exact level. You know, you got Devin Alexander who had some good wins against like Junior Witter. Who else did he beat? He beat Marcos Maidana, before Marcos Maidana became the guy that we know him as today, the guy that fought Floyd and everything, fought Broner. He beat Maidana. He beat guys like Lee Purdy. He beat Jesus Soto Carras. Okay. I thought he got a gift against Lucas Matisse. I thought Matisse clearly won that fight, but I thought that was a gift. He beat some solid fighters, and then he lost to guys like Amir Khan, Tim Bradley, Sean Porter. And once he lost to Aaron Martinez, that's when I knew like it was pretty much over for Devin. Like at this point, Devin is pretty much like a good stepping stone if you're trying to chase a title. He's not a guy that I can see winning the title at this point in his career. Good boxer, but to me, I think Devin always failed to stick to the game plan. He has skills. He has the skills to outbox many welterweights, but he's like a brawler at heart. He wants to go back and forth and trade. And he doesn't really have the power to do that. I think he's tough. I think he can take the punches. It's just that I think he just failed to stick to the game plan. And outside of a couple of people outboxing him, I think Amir Khan outboxing him. I think that was the only guy that clearly outboxed him. Whereas guys like Tim Bradley, guys like Sean Porter kind of roughed him up. And he fell into the trap with them. And then when Aaron Martinez beat him, I was just like, I thought that was just a horrible performance because I'm like, you could outbox this guy, but you choose to sit here and brawl with him. And at that time, Aaron Martinez was kind of hot at that moment, So Devin, is a proven welterweight. He's a guy that was always a legit good name to fight. And same thing with Victor Ortiz. We had the classic Andre Berto fight that he won. Okay, it gave him the opportunity to fight Floyd. But since then, he's been on a downhill. He lost to Josecito Lopez, got his jaw broken in that fight, which was a really good fight. But I think Victor Ortiz, I expect a lot more from him. He's a guy that I thought would beat Josecito Lopez and probably stop him before even his jaw got broken. He was winning that fight, but not by a lot. He lost to Berto in a rematch. But the one fight that just like Devin Alexander losing to Aaron Martinez, the fight that he lost was the Louis Collazo fight. And I was there. I remember going to that fight. I was sitting ringside, and I was like, what the hell happened to this guy? I mean, Louis Collazo is a good fighter, but he shouldn't be knocking out Victor Ortiz in like the first or second round, And that's why I knew it was over. I think whatever damage was done to Ortiz, people always questioned his heart, when he quitting back in the day against Marcos Maidana. But, he just never really, outside of the Andre Berto fight, he's kind of failed every big test that he took. Andre Berto first fight, he showed a lot of heart. I thought he was winning the fight. He even knocked Berto down, but when Berto knocked him down, for him to come back and still win was very impressive. But outside of that, he hasn't really done much, you know. And even in a Berto rematch, he seemed like he could have continued, but he just chose not to, you know. He didn't really look like he wanted to deal with it no more. And this is why it's so hard to call this fight, because these are two guys that continuously lost to guys that I thought they could have won against. You know, Devon, at least he has a lot of heart. You know, I think he has too much heart at times. You know, he just wants to brawl. You know, when he can outbox. Victor Ortiz is a good boxer. He's a good boxer. He has good power, good hand speed. You know, good legs. But where's his heart? You know, if he is being pressured, you know, is he going to be able to maintain and continue? You know, if he is getting rocked by a few good shots, is he going to be able to continue? Very hard to call this fight. It's so hard to call this fight. I mean, this is not a fight that means everything in the world, because both of these guys have been losing left and right, and they're just trying to find their place back into, you know, the circle of top welterweights. I don't think neither are going to be top welterweights. I think the top welterweights will easily beat them, but this fight makes sense. You know, this is like a do or die type of fight, in my opinion. You know, whoever loses, especially if it's a loss by knockout, that's it. You know, they should just pretty much hang it up. I think as far as knockouts are concerned, even though Devon is not the hardest puncher in the world, I think he has a better chance of knocking out Victor Ortiz. Okay, because Victor, he goes down. He doesn't seem like he really cares if he wants to continue. You know, I think Victor Ortiz overall is the better talented fighter. I think he's a more talented fighter between the two. I just don't know how much he has left. You know, I know he won a fight recently against a guy that I've never heard of before. But I don't know what's left in the tank for him, you know. I think Devon is a guy that is more like, you know, I think he understands his position at this point. And this is why I'm kind of leaning towards him. I think if a real fight is to break out, I think Devon would win, because Devon is just more durable. I think he's been in a lot of wars. And even though he didn't win a lot of these wars, he still was able to stand and trade, you know, with these fighters, even though he has a lack of punching power. Victor Ortiz, on the other hand, I just can't see him banging with Devon Alexander. I could see him outboxing him, maybe. But even that, it's like, he's not really that much more skilled than Devon is, you know? Even if you want to make that argument that Victor is better, he's more skilled, it's not really by much, you know. He may not even be more skilled, you know. It depends on how Devon chooses to fight. I believe they're both southpaws too. Which makes that interesting. I can't remember how many southpaws I remember Devon Alexander fighting, or losing. Or I should have looked that up before I did this video. But they're both southpaws, so that's interesting, you know. I wonder who's going to do better when it comes to that. But I think Devon is going to win. I can't really trust Victor Ortiz. He actually he needs to beat someone meaningful for me to even consider him winning against a former a champion or a former. You know, I can't even consider it at this point. You know, like I said, I thought he was outboxing Andre Berto, which is not really that hard to do. It's just that Berto is very dangerous at any point. I think Berto is probably still one of the hardest punching welterweights there is, period. You know, once he rocks you, that's it, you know. But I got Devon winning this fight. I don't know. It could be by decision. It could be by stoppage. But I'm going to go with Devon on this one. You know, I think these are two fighters that are, you know, they're a fight or two away from being on their last fight, in my opinion. Or a loss or two away from being retired. Let me say that. And this might be the fight. I think whoever loses this fight most likely may retire or consider it. All right. Let me know what you guys think on this fight. This was a tough one to call for me. But I'm gonna go with Devon. All right, peace.